Howdy folks, I'm Mama B, and today we're going to do some wire wrapping. So JoJo came to me the other day and she had gotten these beautiful, beautiful rocks. And she asked me if I would turn them into a couple of pendants for her. So I'm going to do that. Now I'm going to wait on this one because it's got all these different colors and I want to know which side she likes the best so we can emphasize what she likes the best. So we'll wait on that and we'll go ahead and do this one today. And I'll talk to her about the other one and we'll get going on that one as well. We're going to do this one today. Now these are my micro tools. They are my on-the-go tools. And you got to have a bag like that, folks, if you're going to be wire wrapping, because sometimes you just got to take it with you. There's my little tool. This one's critical. So we're going to start by just putting a curl there. Nice and tight. Now, I don't know my wires that well because I just strip them and I use what I've got. This one, I'm going to guess, though, is right around a 20 gauge. Might be 18. I'm going to just cut off a little strip. And I'm going to work a cute little curl into it. The nice thing about stripping your own wire and doing that is that it's already work hardened. Now, if you don't know what that means, it basically means that it's going to hold the shape of it. It also can mean that it's harder to work with, but this is soft enough that I can work it quite easily with my go bag tools. Okay, and I'm just going to kind of guess where I want that to be. And just start playing with it. I do not have a specific pattern in mind. As you see, that'll kind of hold it. Now, it's very loose. It'll fall right out. So it is not even close to being done. But what I can do here is then cut another piece of wire. And I can just work with this. Just keep adding it until I like the design and I like how well it holds. Those are the two most important things. It's got to look pretty, right? Got to look pretty, and it's got to be able to hold it. Now, I don't want it all just to be wire like this. I want to do a little bit of fancy wrapping. So I'm going to slip this stone out, and hopefully I'll remember what position it was in so I can put it back. And then I'm going to grab my little finer wire, and I'm going to do some wire wrapping. So I'm just going to start my little weave, get it wrapped a couple of times, push it together. Can deal with the end later. And then I can just do my own little design. Twice. You do want to know what pattern you're doing. So like I'm just starting out. At this point I can do whatever pattern I want, but I'm going to have to know that I'm wrapping it twice or 3 times in order to keep a pattern going. Okay, so it looks like I'm doing it 3 times and I don't mind. Cinch that down nice and tight. Wrap that once, twice. Let's make 3 our magic number here. Once, twice, 3 times. Then back around that single wire. Oh, be really careful. If it's a soft work hardened, it will still bend if you put a lot of pressure on it. As you can tell, I got a little bit of wonky going on, so I'm going to try and straighten that out real fast here. Twice, 3 times. And then around one more time. For the length, the longer wraps. Once, twice, and the 3rd time. And then I'm just going to do one. I'm just going to wrap this longer wire now all by itself. And you want to work it as you go. Make sure it's looking the way you want. So like here, it's a little bit wonky. You got to be careful with the metal wire pliers because they can scratch your wire. I've had that multiple times. Don't love it, but it's all part of the learning process, right? And I want that a little tighter through there. There we go. Okay, can I work with that? I think I can. And then I'm just going to wrap this quite a few times because I just want it to kind of trail off wrapped. Okay. Okay, so folks, this is what I'm working with here. And I think I've bent my wire a little bit out of shape, and that's okay because there's not a hard commitment to this design. Now, what I am noticing, however, is that this isn't that strong. And I want it to be a strong wrap. So I'm going to neaten up these wires a little bit. So now what I'm doing is just tightening down that wire and the coil wrap. The same on this side. This is looking pretty good. So let's just fit that in there one more time. Looks like that it needs to be just tucked a little tighter. So there's a nice little design. Now I might bring this wire up this way so that I can support that side. Yep, I think I will. So again, I'm going to take the rock out. I'm going to start my wire wrap. Now, as it forms the hold a little tighter, you're going to want to make sure that you get these ends a little easier to deal with, because starting out it's not a problem, but as they tighten up, your form takes tighter shape, it can get harder and harder to wrap them. So if you're smart, you think it through, but I'm more creative than I am smart sometimes, so I'm just gonna have fun with it and deal with the mountains as they come. Want that a little tighter, pull that in. Okay, so that made that just a little lumpy. So So I'm just going to cinch it up. This process can be a little bit time consuming, but it's okay. Basically, I'm just twisting it tighter around that wire. See there, now it's more even. Then I'm going to come and I'm going to wrap it around both of those wires now. And 3 is our magic number. So there's 2. This will be the 3rd time. Switch that up a little bit. And anytime you learn anything about wire wrapping, they'll always tell you, perfect it as you go, because once you're in it too far, it's not like you can just pull a magic wire and tighten it all up. So you want to work it as you go. There's 3. And I'm going to wrap it around 3 times, both of them. That makes 3. I'm just going to do 3 times around the little wire again. And I just want to make sure it's all nice and neat. There we go. Try not to let it slide like that though, because that sound is a warning that you're scratching your wire. I'm still quite a beginner, so I do that quite often, unfortunately, but I'm getting better at it with practice. And yeah, so practice makes perfect. Or at least they say perfect practice makes perfect. 3 times around there. And actually, I think I'm just going to keep wrapping that because I've got 3 long wraps there, and I'm going to let this go again behind the stone. So, tighten up that little gap. Maybe redirect that just a little bit. There we go, that's better. I think JoJo will really like this. She's doing well. In case any of you are wondering how she's doing, she's all grown up and doing well. She's busy though, and she doesn't make it to my videos very often anymore. Okay, let's see how that looks. So now that's going to be much more stable. And I'll wrap those back in the back there. So now you can see it's getting a little more stable. It's still a little wonky. But we're coming along. Okay, I've been fidgeting with this just a little bit, and sometimes you got to do that. And so now I'm going to wrap up these ends just a little bit. Now, the main goal here now is for stability. like I said, and appearance. Because you want it to look pretty and intentional, but you don't want it to be able to fall out either. You don't want the ends where they'll scratch. So after you've curled those up, you want to feel and make sure there's no scratchy wires, because nobody wants to get scratched. Okay, so I've got all my ends covered and tucked in now. It's getting pretty stable. I'm going to take these, and they're going to be my bail. These are a little bit tiny to make a bail with, but we're going to do it anyway, because it doesn't have to be a lot. Okay, I'm going to take another little piece of wire, because I think bails are really pretty when they're wrapped. You can see these are just tiny little tools. They can be a little bit tricky to use sometimes, but they'll do all right. Okay, I'm going to secure that wire here in the back. You can see I've done a little bit of wrapping back there. I'm just going to use up the rest of this wire, because that will tuck in my, or that will finish forming my bail, and I believe it will be long enough. I did have to undo it. That's why this wire is just a little bit bendy. It's got some kinks in it, but I think that'll make it long enough, because the way I was doing it before, it was just a little bit too loose, and it wasn't going to be wide enough or long enough to cover my bail, and I don't want to start any wire in the middle of it. So this way it will be long enough to form a bail and not have to worry about if it looks right or if I have to start another wire. Because there's ways to start new wires, but I'll be real honest, not as fun. Okay, so now I can form my bail. You want to be careful about those wires that you've wrapped, because they're tiny and they're a little bit more fragile. So that leaves the back like that, but now the front all looks proper, right? And that's a good thing. And then I'm going to bring that one around to hold it all together. again, you want to make sure that those ends get tucked in properly so nobody scratches. Nobody gets any scratches on them. See, now I've got a place to put my loop. That'll be good. And then I'm going to take this end. I'm going to bring it down. I'll put another cute little curl right at the end. That one is out and scratchy, so I'm going to take my other pliers, tuck it in, and then just shape that real tight in there. Give it a good push. Now my stone is solid. I have a bail, I can hang it, and JoJo has a pendant. What do you think? Not too shabby, huh? Folks, thanks for watching my videos. Have a fantastic day.